Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Restoration Rundown Podcast, the podcast that's dedicated to you, the restoration business owner. My name is Ben Riccardi, the host of the Restoration Rundown, and today we are going to give you guys some tips, and that is to the restoration business owners, on how to rank your restoration business on page one of Google. The ever-changing challenge, right? Keeping up with the digital marketing changes, the algorithm changes for Google. We had a bunch of big algorithm updates in December, November of 2021, but here we are, 2022. A couple things have changed, but the basics are still the same. So, for your restoration business, you gotta have that page one placement for pretty much everything you do if you want to get leads online consistently. So, ranking your business in the organic section via SEO, having some Google ads running is always important, and managing and getting those rankings on Google Maps. And today we're going to talk a little bit about each one of those channels and how you can leverage them to make sure that you're taking up as much real estate on that page one as possible. Now, I know most of you guys listening to this or watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn probably have dealt with a few different agencies. I mean, it is a struggle. Look, it's not easy to do to get your business ranked. It's about consistency. There's over 200 ranking factors, but today, hopefully we demystify some of the things. One, to empower you with a little bit of knowledge on how to do it yourself. Or two, if you have an agency that you're using, at least you can hold them accountable. Make sure that they're on the right track, because as a business owner, no matter who you have, what you're subbing out to anybody, you need to have a good idea of what they're actually doing to make sure, one, you're not getting ripped off, and two, you're not throwing money out the window, and make sure that you kind of optimize all the services that you're getting in. Look, you wouldn't hire a plumber to come in and help you guys out with the kitchen and never check on their work and never vet them out. So, I implore you not to do the same for your digital marketing agency. So let's dive right in. I like to simplify this. Getting ranked on page one of search engines, all about building authority. All right. No different than you guys creating content. When we talk about restoration business owners making videos about their services, you're positioning yourself as an authority, and Google kind of works the same, right? Google's just a big librarian. So you need to make sure that you have the right content, the right strategies, the right conversion tactics on your website to make sure Google knows where to file you, and to make sure that once you do get that placement, you're going to have people actually pick up the phone and call you. So we break it down into three channels, okay? We look at our digital marketing triangle. I mean, there's a million other things that are involved in this, but the simplest way to put it is SEO, which is getting you ranked in the organic search section, Google My Business, which is going to get you ranking in the map section, and then PayPerClick, and how all those three things kind of work together. The big ones here is going to be the Google My Business, the Google Business Profile, which they just changed in 2022, how that works with SEO. We're going to give you a brief overview of how that works, and kind of more so why you need to be implementing this stuff into your restoration business, especially if you want to get leads consistently online, which I know everybody out there that's listening to this or watching this wants to do, right? If you don't have those leads coming in, you don't have the phone calls, then you're relying on the insurance companies. That's not always an ideal situation. You're kind of on their dime, on their time. And what we want to do here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing is empower our clients and empower our listeners and our followers with the knowledge and tools to be able to kind of do this stuff themselves, or at least understand whether or not they're on the right track to getting those leads, or more so, understand why they may not be getting those leads if they are trying this stuff. All right. So the first thing, why do you need SEO for your restoration business? If you need any more convincing, the easiest way to put this is, when people are online, so SEO is the practice of driving your business higher and higher onto the organic search ranking results, right? So why do you need that? Well, when somebody has property damage, they have an immediate need. I talk about this a lot. When somebody's going onto Google and they're looking for a new pair of shoes, or they're looking for a new restaurant to go try out for the weekend with their family, that's a little bit more of a passive buy. Right? They may look at 20 or 30 different restaurants. They may read every single review. They may ho-hum about it. They may start on Monday looking and go all the way, checking every day till Thursday. Finally, Friday, they make a reservation. In this industry, and in most home service-based industries where you are going to somebody's home to perform a service, especially in the restoration industry, they have an immediate need when they're looking up on Google to find you. So the search becomes very specific, And 9 times out of 10, they're not looking past the page 1 of Google. They're not looking past the first page. Most people don't anyways, but especially when they're looking for somebody to come remediate an emergency type situation. You can imagine if a hurricane came and blew their roof off their house or half of their roof and they had water pouring into their house, things cleared up the next day. They're not going to take a week to decide who is going to come help them out. They're going to get somebody right away. So that right there, from a mentality of who your target demographic is huge as to why you need to take up all that real estate on page 1 of Google. One thing to remember, and we say this quite a bit, 90% of people, and it's probably growing even more with the growth of voice search, the Alexas in everybody's homes, the Google Homes in everybody's homes, they're going to go higher. So majority of people in this world are using a search engine to find products or services. Again, talking about the restoration industry specifically, when somebody has catastrophic damage, or even if it's not catastrophic, if it's a property manager and they notice mold in one of their apartments or condos or whatever it is that somebody just moved out of, they need somebody to get there right away. Now, when you look into the circumstance of a hurricane or a big flood or a major storm that comes through, or even frozen or burst pipes, sometimes, a lot of times, especially down here in South Florida where we're at with the hurricanes, you're not going to have power. You're the only means of finding anybody to come help you with anything is going to be your phone, because you're going to have cell service a lot of times. Okay. So you need to have that page 1 ranking. I can't overstate that enough. All right. And again, page 1. If you're using an agency and you've been there more than 5 months and you don't have decent page 1 rankings and maps, your ads aren't showing, your organic isn't there, or more so, you're not getting calls, it's probably because you don't have any keywords on page 1, because the best place to hide a dead body is page 2. There's so many different statistics out there. I mean, the percentage of drop off of people that don't look past page 1 is astounding. And even more so, page 2, page 3, page 4, like you might as well not even exist. All right. If it's not on page 1, it doesn't exist in my eyes. So the goal is to take up, again, as much real estate on the first page of Google as you possibly can. Beat your competition out. It takes consistency and hard work, but it can happen. All right. And you got to remember too, and I say this quite a bit, there's no guarantees with SEO. So I know you guys out there, I've owned other businesses in my life where I've dealt with digital marketing agencies. You get promised the world, you get nothing in return. So you got to remember there is zero guarantees. It's almost like you guaranteeing that every one of your clients is going to be happy when you're done the job. There's so many factors and variables that are out of your control. That right there is just the common sense part about it. But more so, if you Google searched, can somebody guarantee page 1 results? Google right on their page, the results that they're going to serve you. And I highlighted it here and I'll read it. No one can guarantee a number 1 ranking on Google. And actually, they even take it a little step further and say, beware of SEO companies that claim to guarantee rankings or allege a special relationship with Google or advertise priority submit to Google, because there is no such thing as priority submit for Google. In fact, the only way to submit a site to Google directly is through our ad URL in Google Search Console or submitting your sitemap in Google Search Console, i.e., you can't guarantee results. There's too many variables. With over 200 ranking factors, it's just impossible. So the other thing they do say that's kind of funny is run the other way if somebody does promise you that. I've heard it all. I've heard, I know a guy that works at Google. I've heard, we have priority placement because we have so many clients. It's bull S. It can't happen. So don't do it. You have to remember, if you're going to hire an agency, you got to look at it less of you're hiring somebody for a service, but you're more so bringing somebody in for a partnership. This should be an intimate back and forth relationship that you work together collaboratively to build your authority online to get those leads coming in, because every business is different. We work with a lot of different companies across the United States. And I'm going to tell you, even companies that are within 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 miles of each other all have unique services they provide, all have uniqueness about their specific area that makes every account different. All right. There is no magic pill for this stuff, but there are some basics, the black and white, that you can do to ensure that, at least from a fundamental standpoint, you're positioned properly to be able to get those top level rankings. All right. So what is SEO? For those of you that have been listening here for 10 minutes and don't know what SEO is, I'll kind of take a step back. And SEO just stands for search engine optimization, right? Which is basically the practice of increasing the quantity of and quality of traffic to your website through organic search engine results. Now, quantity of traffic is important, but the bigger word there is the quality of traffic, right? It's one thing to have 50,000 organic visitors a month. And what an organic visitor is, it's somebody that has not been to your website, but found your website via a search engine. Okay. So they've typed in water damage restoration in your city. They clicked on the link of your link and went to your website. But the quality of that traffic is more important, especially in your industry, because if it's just bots or if it's just people that aren't really looking for water damage restoration and are going to your site, who cares? Like at the end of the day, you want quality traffic. You need somebody that needs property damage that's going to pick up the phone and call. So outside of all the things from a web design perspective that we went over in our 2022 internet marketing plan, we talked about websites and how to build them, how to make them convert better. You want to have good quality traffic, and you do that with SEO. All right. But you have to remember the algorithm changes frequently. So your tactics have to evolve. Remember, I said there is no magic pill that solves all the problems out there. So your tactics have to evolve with that. And that's when partnering with a good agency or having somebody with their fingers on the pulse that are doing research on a daily basis is important, because if you're just doing the same thing over and over again, eventually you're going to get left in the dust. I mean, look what happened to Blockbuster. It's funny. I saw a meme yesterday somewhere, and it was an old billboard for Blockbuster that was kind of crapping on Netflix, saying, hey, Netflix has an algorithm. We have a call-gorithm. Well, guess what happened to Blockbuster? I think there's only one left, and I think it's in Alaska, which isn't even part of the continental US, so I don't even think it counts. So remember, you got to treat your agency like a partnership, okay? You got to just make sure that, a lot of this work goes on you to understand what they're actually doing. And that is a problem with a lot of digital marketing agencies out there, is they bank on that ambiguity, right? They think they're the smartest guy in the room. You're not going to understand the analytics, and you're not going to take the time to dive through them. A lot of times you're just going to say, is my phone ringing or not? Which is important. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you want. But understanding this stuff and how it works and trying to maybe simplify it to a matter to where you can understand what's happening is important, because then you can know if you're on the right track or not. Because again, SEO, ranking you on our organic section of Google, can take months. All right. So understanding that you're on the right track, especially when we don't have any tangible results right off the bat, is very important. So when you come up and you look up a search engine results, we're going to kind of break down a legend of a search page if you don't already know. All right. The first thing you're going to see when you search on Google for something, we typed in water damage restoration in Dallas, you're going to see the paid listings, the pay-per-click. That's something that most of you guys out there should be using. If you looked at our triangle of success, if you want to call it, the omnipresence method, or at least taking over this real estate. This is a page one result for water damage restoration Dallas. So if I have water damage restoration and I'm in Dallas, there's a really good chance I'm going to pick one of these companies right here. All right. And we're going to break this down. So you have your paid listings first. Then the next section you're going to see is maps. Then you see the organic listing, the non-paid listings. The maps and organic sections are non-paid. That's really big. Those take the most work to get to, but those are the ones that are most valuable because you are ranking for something specific. And again, you're not paying for that lead, right? You're paying per click for the pay-per-click ads, which is great. But man, you really got to get ranked in this map pack and ranked on the organic section if you really want to consistently get leads. And then from there, that's when conversion comes into play, right? So you get to page one, you're up here in the pay-per-click, you're in the map section, organic. Now these people are going to kind of vet you out. That's when they're going to check out your reviews, a big one. That's when they're going to check out your social media profiles, perhaps just to see some before and afters. They're going to read your reviews. You have to build trust with these people. So that's one of the big things. Then they're going to go to your website. If your website looks like crap, or it looks like some salesy BS landing page, like a lot of you guys out there do, they're not going to use you. They're going to bounce right off and go to the next guy. So you have like just a very finite amount of time to hook them in once they get to this first page, to make them pick up the phone and call. And we'll go over that. We've gone over that in the 2022 Internet Marketing Plan web episode that we did. So you can refer back to that, but I'm going to dive into that a little bit more coming up here in the next couple of weeks. All right. So again, organic search should be the foundation. So you look at our digital marketing triangle here, for lack of better words, organic is the foundation, right? But you have to remember, it can take months to rank your business on the first page of Google. And it really depends on so many different things. It could take your proximity, the quality of content that you have on your website that we're going to talk about here shortly. But either way, it can take months, right? I've seen stuff take a month. I've seen stuff take 6 months, depending on the area, how high your competition is, because you're not just going against yourself, you're going against everybody else. I mean, the way Google crawls websites and the way that they index things is all important, and all has to do with how your site's built. But the reason that we set up this triangle like this is because showing that SEO is the foundation. Google Maps is right there above that. I mean, if they should be almost combined into one solid line here. But they take a lot of time to get you ranked there. Okay. If you're doing it right, you will get ranked there. You got to get a lot of reviews to get on the map section. But what PayPerClick does is PayPerClick, while you're building your authority with the organic search and your Google My Business page or your Google Business profile, as they now call it, PayPerClick will get you that placement right up at the very top on mobile and desktop right off the bat. So we kind of look at it like this, PayPerClick is leads right now. Google Business and Maps are leads down the road. But once you get there and you maintain that, I mean, your phone's going to be ringing consistently every month. And the goal is to get rid of any busy seasons or slow seasons and just make a season of growth consistently for you to get more trucks on the road. So how do you get listed in the organic section? Well, that's a great question. I'm not going to tell you, but no, we're going to tell you. Right here is where you want to be. It's the section directly below the maps, below the ads, right there. And the first thing you got to remember is you got to keep the search engines happy. All right. You need a website with the proper on-page content. You have to remember, you have to have a mobile first design. Google switched to mobile first indexing a long time ago. And actually they're trending towards more UX, which is user experience. You have to have a great user experience on your website, or Google's going to really give, kind of penalize you for that. So if Google can't properly crawl and index your site, and Google's bots can't figure out what your site's all about, not only are you not going to get indexed properly, but they're not going to give you any kind of placement at all. They're going to kind of just throw you off to the side, and they're going to look for websites that get more specific answers, that have a better flow. They look at things like font contrast. They look at things like sizes of font. Do you have the right content on there? Does it sound kind of robotic? I mean, or does it resonate with people? They're looking at all of that. Page speed comes into play. All right. You need good, relevant content. So if you're a mold removal company in Albuquerque, New Mexico, then you got to have content on your page that tells people that, and not just a blurb, not just a bullet point. You need to have a separate page for every one of your services that you provide. So as far as the length of those pages, the rule of thumb is 500 words, right? But if you're in a really high competition area, and there's some tools that you can use online to figure it out, go even above that. So the more authentic you can be, the more images you show before and after, the more you're completing that circle of information, and you're giving value-based content that Google can crawl and place you where you need to be on the first page of Google. They even have AI now with your photos. They're even determining what is inside of a photo. So those before and after pictures, the authenticity of your company, doing stuff specific to the service and the city that you want to rank in is important. And that's going to help you get ranked on those on the first page of Google a little bit faster. So again, a lot of the times, the old school way, they would stuffing keywords in the footer, stuffing keywords on the homepage is out the door. They are legitimately reading this content, and it needs to be authentic. So, if you look at your website and you're reading your content, and it's just like, it's almost like you're in high school and you have like 1,000-word essay you have to write, and you just keep repeating like this essay is very, 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 very fun to write, and I can't tell you how much fun I had writing this essay. That kind of content is going out. You're not going to get ranked on Google for that. In fact, you may even get penalized. So, write the content, write your process, write as much value information about each one of your services, and have them have their own page on your website so Google can file them properly. A couple other things that we do here to get our clients rankings is we actually add city-specific service page content. All right. So, you're a service-based company. So if you're in Dallas, Texas, you might have 5 trucks on the road and you serve a 50-mile range around Dallas. Well, within that 50-mile range, there's probably 20 or 30 different sub-cities that you can call out and have content on your website to help you get ranked there. So remember, we talk about proximity. So if somebody looks up, we're in South Florida. If somebody looks up water damage restoration, West Palm Beach, And yeah, great. And they're in West Palm Beach. You're going to have a better chance of getting ranked if you have everything together as far as content and all that stuff on your website. But if I walked, 3 miles south of here or 4 miles south, I'll be in Lake Worth. I'm technically still in Palm Beach County, technically still in West Palm Beach, but the city's called Lake Worth, Florida. So on my restoration website, I would want a page that's water damage restoration, Lake Worth, Florida, and all about Lake Worth and all about our services we provide there, linking back to your Google business page with backlinks, internal links, linking to your other service pages. That's how you grow your authority on Google. That's how Google knows where to file you. And if you look at Google like a big librarian, if you walked up to a librarian and handed them one sheet of paper that listed like 50 cities on it, it listed like 30 different services, they're going to look at that piece of paper and you go, yeah, go throw that in a file, and then I want you to go be able to find that when I'm looking up something specific. There's too much information on there. So, but if you broke that piece of paper into little bites, paragraphs for each one of the different cities, and you stapled them together and then they filed them away as property damage, it'd be a lot easier to find it. All right. Blogs are another really big way that help you get ranked. Blogs are something you can do to help get long tail keywords ranked. Like, what do I do if I have flood damage? What do I do if I find mold in my kitchen? Stuff like that. Blogs are great because it's a really good opportunity for you to show off a before and after. So you can throw a blog article up about a mold damage restoration job you did in your city. Here's what we found. Here's how we remediated it. This is our process. And here's some before and after pictures. That's awesome. Link outside of that site to your Google business page, link to your Facebook from there, link to your service pages on your website. The more value you can place in a blog, the better. A lot of times those long tail keywords are super specific. So it's a little bit easier to rank on some of that stuff. Take that easy word with a grain of salt. It's just from a big picture perspective, it's a little bit easier. So those things are really important to have on your website. Now, the other thing is, you can have all the content you want on your site, but Google isn't actually like going to your URL and having somebody sit in front of a computer and read your content. What they have is they have bots that crawl websites. And what they're crawling is the back end information, the source code of your site, the blueprint of your site, if you will. So if you have any kind of web design experience or any kind of programming or anything like that, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if not, it's basically just the blueprint of your website, right? So you have to have the proper on-page optimization. You have to have the proper title tags, header tags, their meta tags in there. You need to have internal links and external links. Creating a blueprint and a map of that experience on your website. This stuff sounds pretty complicated, but if you're using WordPress, which we highly recommend, there's a number of plugins that'll actually just set this stuff up and you just go page by page and input your information. And what that information looks like on a search engine, and if you're just listening to this, this will make sense, but you'll see three things when you look. You're going to see a ranking URL. That's the first thing you see. That is the URL that Google has indexed on the page one. The next thing you see is the meta title. So if you're looking here, the ranking URL for the first result in water damage restoration Dallas is dalworthrestoration.com, water damage. The meta title for that page is water removal and damage restoration in Dallas, Fort Worth. So that's very specific. So it's giving Google, here is the headline. Here it is. You're almost, it's like you're waving your website up in the air for them. And then you have a meta description, which is going to be a little bit more specific, but it's a little bit of a description of what that page is all about. So, we're going to go down to the third result. The meta description on the first result is Dalworth Restoration for estimates on water removal, extraction, and damage restoration services in the North Texas area. If I handed you this little screen grab here, you'd have a really easy time filing that away. And if I said, hey, go find me a water damage restoration company in Dallas, bam, you got it right there. So that's kind of how you need to look at this when you're setting up your stuff. But all this back end, all the on-page optimization is super easy to set up. You can look at a plugin like Yoast SEO. It's free. All-in-one SEO. It's free. Both of those have paid versions. You don't need them. You really just want to utilize them to set up the basic on-page stuff. All right. Remember, with your site getting ranked on Google, content is king. Googlebot, the bots, the website crawlers are constantly searching for new content. And if you're doing SEO properly, every time you put up a blog on a monthly basis, you should be resubmitting your sitemaps or at least submitting those URLs for indexing. So if you throw up a blog and a city page, we'll just talk about a blog. What do you do if your Dallas, Texas home floods? and you have a really good blog with value-based information, the right internal links, which are links that are linking within your website, right? So if you have water damage restoration, something about water damage, and you're linking to your main core service page, that's an internal link. If you have links on it that link to your Facebook or your Google business profile, or even another high authority website like the RIA or IICRC, if there's some article that's relevant to it, those are considered external links. And that's going to give you an even better score and give you a little bit better of an opportunity to get your website ranked. So content is king, but you got to have the right content on your site, or your content is a waste. So you got to have the proper on-page optimization for all that content. We talk about separate page for each one of your services. Here's one of our clients here. This is an old version of the site, but you can see here under services in their core menu here, you have every single service that they offer. And each one of those pages, if you clicked in them, is going to have a minimum of 500 words of keyword rich content. It's going to include the cities served. It's going to include internal links, external links to all the different content on your site and offsite that's relevant to that service. All right. That is super important to have. I mean, it's fundamental. So if you have an SEO agency you're working with, let's say they built you a website and you don't have a separate page for each one of your services, you might want to start rethinking who you've partnered with for your SEO and for your digital marketing strategy. And I say that stuff, it sounds pretty basic, but one of the things we do here are video analyses. So anytime anybody asks us on any one of our social media channels, my Facebook, Instagram, my YouTube, whatever, if they give us our URL, I have my team do a complete full video audit, walking them through from top to bottom, everything about their site they might be doing right, but more so, a lot of times it's everything that they're not doing right. And it's astounding to see how many of you guys out there are spending a ton of money on digital marketing, supposedly, and getting zero. And even from the fundamental standpoint of your on-page optimization, how Google reads your website, and they don't even have any of that set up. Right. So it's really important to understand this stuff, guys, because it's not cheap to do this. It's not easy to do this if you're doing it yourself. So you got to make sure you're doing it right and you're not just throwing crap against the wall hoping it sticks. All right. So remember, with blogs and city pages, the reason we utilize them is because Google loves fresh, pertinent content. They love value. Their whole entire platform is built on serving their user base with relevant content to what they're searching for. They're a big library, and the easier you make it for them, the more preferential treatment you're going to have. Blogging wise, you really, blog at least, or blog really just one time a month. Start with your frequently asked questions is a really good place to start with your blogs, like what you hear a lot, what you want your target demographic to know about the industry or your services, or you want to show off a job. That's what blogs are for. It really helps you get those long tail keyword rankings. You want to mix it with value-based content. So just information. Why is mold dangerous, or how can mold be dangerous? And then stuff about what do you do if you find it? The city landing pages, again, those are just keyword-rich pages on your site that are going to combine your core keywords with a location, right? So like I gave you the example, we're in West Palm Beach, Florida. So water damage restoration, West Palm Beach, Florida is going to be my core service page, but then I'm going to have a city landing page for places like Lake Worth or Boynton Beach or Miami or Fort Lauderdale, wherever my service area is, because I want to get ranked in my entire service area. I don't want to just be, if I just pigeonhole myself into where my office is, you're limiting yourself to your visibility. So you want to be visible in every single city that you serve, and really work on those cities. I'd pick your top 10 and really, really hammer down on those, get those rankings, do those well, and then start expanding out from there. So you got to build your portfolio that way. All right, so backlinks, that's another big part, and it's an area of contention. Some people say they're BS, but I'm telling you right now, you got to have them. So backlink is just a link that's created when another website links to yours. All right, you either have inbound or incoming links is what they're called. So the easy way to think about it is for your restoration business, like the first thing I would do if I was starting a restoration business is I would go find out my name and my business, right? And so now I got all that. I got my website up. I got to go claim my Facebook. I'm going to claim Instagram with that name, claim a Google business profile. I'm going to claim a Yelp. I'm going to claim every single business directory listing that I possibly can, because the more places that my business is listed that has my website URL in it, the more backlinks I have, the more Google's going to look at my website and help build its authority. So it's almost like having a group of friends. You want to call these these directory listings, your friends, it's almost like a group of friends that are just saying, yeah, you need water damage. This is a company right here, right where you're looking. So that's really going to help. So business directory listings, Yelp, Yellow Pages, don't pay for them. You don't have to. It's just having that listing there, having your information there, making sure that your name, your address, and your phone number are all consistent, 100% the same, to make sure that you're getting the most out of that backlink and getting the most out of that link juice. Social media profiles are great. There's not many other websites out there that have a higher authority than Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Whatever you feel about social media, you should have one of those profiles at least claimed and built out and optimized for your business. Whether or not you're posting on it daily or whatever is another story. Another really big one in the restoration industry is joining your industry associations and getting that directory listing there. I mean, in the property damage restoration industry, there's not many bigger ones. Join all the national associations, IICRC, RIA. If you're in Florida, there's NORP, there's NORMI down here. I mean, there's the Restoration Association of Florida. Get a listing in every one of them. Even if it costs you money, those backlinks are worth a lot for your business, and they show that you're actually serious about your business, and they actually help you build authority. All right. So just kind of recap. So you want to get listed in your organic section. You got to have a website. You got to be mobile optimized on your website. Have separate pages for each one of your services with at least 500 words of keyword-rich content. Make sure each one of those pages aren't being wasted because you don't have the proper on-page optimization. Remember, Google has to read this stuff with their crawlers. Make sure you combine internal links within your site, external backlinks off-site, and you need to be adding content at least on a monthly basis, whether that's even going to your old service pages and adding information. I mean, it happens to me all the time. I mean, I've published 2 books in the last couple of years, and literally the day that I submit it for publishing, I think of like 100 other things I could go add. So the beauty about your website is you don't have to deal with publishing. You can just log into your website and make the changes that you want and resubmit the site. Let Google crawl it. As many times as you can add content there, it's better for you. Okay. Now, PayPerClick. That's the very tip of the triangle. But it's a lot of work to get your business ranked organically and ranked on your map section, which we're going to talk about next. PayPerClick is going to get you those leads right now. So whether you hire an agency or you're doing it yourself, Google Ads is a great way to get that phone ringing from online ways. So PayPerClick, you just basically are bidding on keywords and you're getting placement on Google, which is above the organic and map section on mobile and desktop. And it's going to get you leads now. And you've seen in the ad sections right up here. If you're going to hire an agency to do PayPerClick, I really suggest making sure before you sign any agreement that there's some sort of back and forth that you're going to have for the first couple weeks to optimize it. There are some companies out there that throw something up and you're going to get, the calls right away. But a lot of times they're using old landing pages from other companies they built authority on. So the right way to do it is to make sure that you're available and you're communicating. All right. Because it does take, even for us, for the first week, we're communicating every day. Or we're setting up. There's a lot of setup. There's a lot of optimization that happens into this. But when you find that sweet spot, not just with the fundamentals and getting it set up, but with an ad spend, when you find that sweet spot to where the phone's ringing, it's not costing you $1 million, that's what you want to do. And sometimes it takes a week, might take 2 weeks, but if you're doing it correctly and you are being present within your digital marketing strategy, whether you're in-house or hiring out, it's just going to happen a little bit faster and you're going to kind of get an idea of what you really need to do. PayPerClick is great because not only can it get you leads now, but you can shut it off at any time and turn it back on. So a lot of our clients, for the first few months while we're building the site, we're building authority with organic, they run their PayPerClick ads for 3 or 4 months. They get a bunch of leads coming in to help pay the bills. Once they start ranking organically and they start getting those maps listings, they just shut the PayPerClick off. Now, when a storm comes in or you get a big freeze that you're coming in or something like that happens, they turn them PayPerClick ads back on. They target any area they want and they can start getting leads for those specific types of services. So PayPerClick is a great tool and you should be using it for your business. Budget-wise, that's left up to between you and your agency. They should be able to give you an idea after a week or so what type of budget's going to be worth your while, right? Because sometimes you can spend way too much and not get anything out of it. But a lot of times I see people just aren't spending enough to be able to get those leads in. All right. So the top 3 things you need to do in your restoration business for 2022, implement an SEO or a digital marketing strategy that includes SEO, Google Business Profile, or Google My Business optimization, and PayPerClick. All right. So you're going to build that foundation with SEO, but because it takes months to rank, maps, and your organic, PayPerClick's going to help you get leads today, but you want to take over the entire first page of Google. And how do you do that? Well, Google Maps and Google Business Profile, there's been a ton of changes in the last month. We are, as an agency, still trying to wrap our head around a lot of the different changes out there. There's a big algorithm change that happened, but the basics are you got to have a verified Google Business page first. Like if you don't have one, stop listening to this, go set one up. It's free. It's easy. It's free for now, but it's easy to do. It's not hard to do, and you got to verify it. But you got to remember, in your industry, most of the traffic that's coming to your website or calling you guys, or that just comes into that industry at all, is coming from the Maps results. Those Maps results are like very prominently displayed, especially on mobile. So you want to be there. And so again, you got to set up a Google Business Profile. It's easy to do. You set it up, you claim your listing, you got to verify it. So they're going to verify your address. So basically, they're going to send you a postcard. They do not accept PO boxes. They're not going to take, you got to be very careful about this. Google, especially with this latest algorithm, they're really hammering down on people that are not doing things right. And the last thing you want to do is starting your business, or even if you've had a business for a while, get your account flagged for spammy tactics or not following their guidelines. So while you're setting all this up, it's a really simple read. Just look at Google Business Profile guidelines. You want to just make sure that you have a legitimate address, you're putting your correct phone number, you're putting the right services that you do on there. And the big one is getting your NAP in order. All right. Your NAP is basically just your name, address, and phone number. It's not a NAP like you want to take a nap. It's just an acronym for name, address, phone number. You want to make sure that is consistent. So whatever name, address, and phone number you have on your website, you want to make sure that's the same thing on your Google Business, and you want to make sure that's the same thing on all of your business directories, all your social media profiles. Okay, that's a very important part of all this. Down to even if you abbreviate Avenue, abbreviate it everywhere. Right? It just helps things be more consistent with that digital omnipresence method that we preach here. Google Business Profile rolled out something pretty cool last year. They're really trending towards, with that whole user experience deal, they're trending towards more of a like social media style platform for you. So it's super easy. It takes a little bit of coaching. It takes a little bit of practice, but if you implement, consistently uploading your photos, onto your Google Business page, showing off before and afters. You can actually make posts. There's promotions that you can run on your Google Business Profile. It's like your website. Content is king. So the more content that's relative to your service area, that's relative to your services, the faster and the easier you're going to rank and climb in those Google Maps rankings. All right. The big one, though, as you all know, whether you're good at it or you're not, most people are not good at it, is getting Google reviews. Reviews are huge. If you look back, if you're actually watching this, if you want to rewind a little bit, in that screen grab I showed of a Google Maps results, you'll see that there's 3 companies there, all with 3 verified Google Business Profiles. That's like the Map Pack, the Snack Pack, the top 3. Those are the 3 first ones people see. That's like the holy grail. But you'll notice that the difference between all 3 of them is the amount of reviews that they have. So the guy that was in first place had like 52, the guy in second place had 40, and the guy in third place had 20. Right? So reviews are important, and you need to have some sort of review gathering process. You got to be super salesy with your reviews and bother these people to get you a Google review until they tell you to pound rocks and they tell you to stop. The mentality behind it is, when somebody's pissed off, they're going to leave you a Google review more times than not. But when they're happy, it's harder to get them from. So a couple things that you can do that works for our clients: texting them as soon as that job is done, asking them while you're giving them their offboard paperwork or you're getting that last bill to them. That's when they're the happiest. They're moving back into their house. They got a new roof or a new kitchen or a new bathroom, new floors, whatever it may be. Texting them, and text them a bunch of times. Email them. Don't stop. They'll get you a review eventually. Okay. Especially if you did a good job. You can create review cards with a QR code and hand it to them on the end of the job. You got to make it really easy for them to do. If you can do this, if you want to write up an email, if they can be specific about the type of service that you offer, that'll even give you another leg up, on your reviews and help you get that better preferential placement on the map section. All right. So next time we talk, we're going to jump into social media a little bit. That wraps up all of our, tactics on how to get listed on the first page of Google. It was a brief overview on everything, but if you want to recap this, you guys, don't neglect your Google Business Profile, don't neglect your organic, and don't neglect your website. Make sure you have a website that's built to convert. Look in the mirror. Go to your website right now. make sure you have a separate page for each one of your services and the content's written to where a fifth grader can go onto your website and just give you a book report on what you do. Make sure you have a logo at the top left and you have a good looking logo. Make sure your website doesn't look like those 1990s or early 2000s GeoCity sites like a lot of you guys out there do. I'm going to call out ServPro because some of their websites look a little dated. But you need to just make sure that you're creating a really good experience. Your page loads fast. All these things come into play when you're talking about ranking on page one of Google. But remember, content is king. So partnering with the right SEO agency is important. And understanding how this stuff works is even more important because you can hold them accountable. So if you need any help, you have any other questions, shoot us a message here, comment wherever you're listening to this. There's a way to comment on this. I'd love to get a reviews from you guys. Drop a review in here. It would really help us out. If there's anything you've been struggling with, shoot us a message. I'd love to get some ideas on things you guys are struggling with, and I can answer questions and create one of these episodes tailor-made just for your business. And if you need any other help than that, check out our website at Ironclad Restoration Marketing. We have a free internet marketing checklist there you can download. It kind of goes over some of the stuff that we talked about from a macro overview. I just published the revised edition of my book, The No Bullshit Guide to Restoration Marketing, to internet marketing for restoration contractors. That is available on Amazon and Kindle. That is a step-by-step guide. There's 200 or so pages on everything you need to be doing to rank your company. And more so just to get leads. Guys that use this book are doubling and tripling their sales. It's what we do for our clients here, why we have so many happy clients across the U.S. So I implore you, subscribe to our channels, subscribe to our social media, Ironclad Restoration Marketing. Every single day, we've got tips, ideas, strategies that you guys can use to really empower you with knowledge and make sure that you're getting those leads and growing your business the right way. We will talk to you soon. We're going to go over some social media stuff in the next couple episodes. I'm going to be bringing in one of my main dudes here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing to answer some questions and give a little bit of background just to help you guys get those leads consistently and grow your business. That's it for today. This episode went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but that's fine. Hopefully you guys got the value out there. Smash that subscribe and like button. Share it with your friends. Write me a letter. I don't care. But we will talk to you soon on the Restoration Rundown podcast.